So I'm in the top 1% of all 24-year-olds, but I'll be honest guys, I've made a lot of mistakes, like a lot. And I'm not just talking about buying the wrong stock or missing a dip or forgetting to pay my taxes. I'm talking about fundamental, existential, life-changing mistakes that cost me years of progress. But here's the thing, despite all these mistakes that I've made and all the troubles that I'm going through right now and before, I was still able to hit over $700,000 net worth by the age of 24. Now imagine where I'd be if I hadn't made those mistakes. So today I break down every single one, the 7 biggest mistakes that I made on my way to building wealth, so you don't have to learn them the hard way like I did. Now before we dive in, I just want to give you some quick context so you know that I'm not just talking randomly. I first started working as a high school as a lifeguard, and then I got 2 more other jobs. Sometimes they were overlapping, but the real money came and experience when I started an e-commerce business right after high school around college. I was doing what's called Amazon FBA. Basically, I was just selling a bunch of random things, anything that would really make me money through Amazon. During that time, I was documenting everything I was doing on social media, which was great timing because COVID happened, TikTok blew up, Instagram blew up, everyone's on their phones. So that's kind of how I started my second 6-figure business while I was still in school. And now that's kind of what I do full time as a 24-year-old, as a full-time content creator.
I started off with just anything I could scrounge up, maybe at $200, $300.
And I really started with nothing. I was broke, I was in debt, and I pretty much grinded my way to where I'm at right now and taught myself everything along the way. Now I want to keep that short and sweet because I made a whole entire video on my entire net worth and how I made that money. And I made also videos on my exact income streams. So if you want to watch that and you want to see like, in depth of what I do or how I make money, I'll link that video in the description down below, or I'll put it, right here. Let's start with one that held me back the longest and honestly caused me a lot of stress. The first mistake is focusing on discipline rather than obsession. When you think of productivity, what comes first to your mind? You think motivation, the discipline, the grind set. You don't want to do the thing, so you grit your teeth and you do it anyways. Because of discipline and motivation, I was able to, push through, start these businesses and get out of my comfort zone. The whole David Goggins mentality. Just stop being soft and just do it.
Not being a bitch.
And funny thing is, after I read his book, I ran a whole marathon. And the most progress that I've made and, changes in revenue and in my wealth is when I really switched to a different type of mentality or perspective. And this is where, Chris Williamson talks about in his podcast that really kind of changed how I looked at productivity. But there's a key difference between discipline, motivation, and obsession. Now, discipline means you don't want to do the thing, but you do it anyways. And motivation means you want to do the thing. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can, but you want to do the thing, you're pulled towards it. Obsession, you're struggling hard not to do the thing. Doing the thing is your baseline. You have to find times within your life to not do the thing. And that's a key difference. My life really changed when I started to really optimize where I put my energy on and really lean on what I was obsessed with. Now, that's why I stopped doing e-commerce Amazon FBA business, because I wasn't obsessed with it. I liked it, I was doing it, but I didn't, I wasn't in love with it. I loved social media, I loved writing, I loved creating skits, writing stories, helping people. And every single second, every single day, I'm thinking about it. I'm obsessed with it. I've been doing that for literally years. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like, it's me, it's part of my identity. And a really hard part is figuring out what you really even enjoy, what you're passionate about, and what you're obsessed with. Find that obsession. Figure out what you're obsessed with and lean towards it. It works more like a metal detector. You try something, maybe you're trying volleyball, or maybe you're writing a book or an essay, and there's a slight beep. You go in another direction, nothing, but you go back to whatever you're trying, and you hear another beep again. Now, I believe figuring out your purpose and your obsession is kind of like that. It's just a series of beeping and trying to be intentional and trying to hone that type of skill and figure out, what you want to do in life. You have to be really intentional and pay attention to the little sparks and collect the data and kind of trust yourself and your gut feeling. Now, productivity, discipline, motivation obviously still matter. Obsession is really what will get you far. Now, comment down below, what are you currently obsessed with that maybe you think is pointless that could be, your thing? I'm curious, I would love to know. Mistake number 2, I didn't swing big enough. Now, this one's weird because I obviously took a lot of risk. I started a bunch of businesses while I was in college, while I was, busy doing school. But honestly, if I look back at my life with opportunities and the things that I was doing at the time, I still played it relatively pretty safe. Again, I obviously took some risk. I started businesses. This is one of the most riskiest and hard things I ever had to do. COVID happened and e-commerce boom. So anybody and their mamas were making, crazy money on Amazon. I kind of just got lucky from starting, at that point during COVID. Now, social media started during COVID again, when TikTok just happened and almost everyone was going viral. Now, I'm not afraid to admit it. A lot of my risks were actually just really good timing. I wasn't the best at e-commerce. I wasn't making the best videos. I honestly got really really lucky, but I still held my back from doing a lot of things. I wasn't really applying myself in school and kind of networking and making friends with other people. At a certain time, I was even going to work with a startup that I really, really liked, but I kind of got embarrassed and just kind of quit. And there's a laundry list of things where I've kind of just wanted to do or I started doing and I just quit because it was outside of my comfort zone and I was scared of taking risk. And the reason why I believe that I was holding myself back because I was afraid of embarrassment, afraid of failure. And even with investing, now this may be kind of controversial, but I was always doing the, FIRE movement approach, the financial independence, retire early approach, where it's just index funds automated for 60 years and wait until you're 60. Now, I wish I had taken just a little more risk when I was younger. And I'm not just saying that I wish that I just bought more individual stocks, because obviously I could have said that, oh, I wish I bought NVIDIA, but I wish I would have applied myself more and at least tried to learn. And when you're young, you do have a lot of time to recover and figure out. So I do think that just even a small portion of your portfolio, or even just your effort at least, dedicate it to make mistakes. Just a quick note, this is literally terrible financial advice. If you see any of my other videos talking about investing, that's not even what I say or what I wouldn't, even teach my own sister. I would say index funds and ETFs. I just got to be honest to talk about myself and my personal situation. So take that with a grain of salt, at least with the investing part. I'm more talking about swinging big on yourself. Now let's talk about another mistake that literally hurt and I'm kind of like dealing with right now. And it's mistake number 3 is trading my health for money. Now in the beginning, when I was really focused on building my wealth, I was super frugal. I was literally Mr. Crab trying to scrounge up any single dollar that I could find. And here's what that really looked like for my day to day. I was eating the cheapest foods, frozen foods at Walmart. I was basically living off of Costco hot dogs because they're $1.50. And I was even sneaking into club meetings or going to these little events just to eat, the free pizza so I didn't have to pay. The reality is if you have an ambitious goal, you're going to have to sacrifice, a lot. But there are certain things that are not necessarily worth the money. For example, my health and wellness, it shouldn't really be a part of that equation. I shouldn't have, tarnish my body that much just for a couple dollars. And if anything, I should have been investing more into my body so I can focus on, my side hustles, my businesses, and my own education. It really wasn't worth the money. And it really is worth the money to eat, whole foods, organic foods, to sleep well, to move, to invest into that gym membership. It really is worth it. Honestly, if I would have invested in myself, I probably would have been way further into my career than I was now because I was able to focus. Now, the next one is kind of similar, but it's a different kind of investments. Mistake number 4 is I didn't reinvest into myself enough. And this one I'm talking about my own capabilities in my business. And I kind of attribute this to the frugality, but also from this book that I was reading in, one of my business classes, and it's called The Lean Startup Method. And I learned a lot of great things from that book that helped me start this business, helped me as a person today. But one of the things that didn't help was trying to keep your expenses as low as possible. But for me, I kind of took that to heart and I wasn't really like investing into my business at all. I didn't really want to spend money where I felt like I didn't need to. So I was kind of doing everything manually. I never really paid for help. I didn't really pay for any subscriptions or softwares. You can only really do so much in a day. Your bandwidth gets stretched. Your competencies are really limited. And there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And so that's kind of the difference between, not investing back into yourself and reinvesting back into your business, getting a team, buying everything like that. And my business revenue never really changed, until I started doing this. And that's kind of what I did. My first hire was an editor. I was just manually editing everything all at once. I was posting like multiple videos a day. So pretty much my entire day was spent scripting and editing videos. Now, hiring that editor helped me so much, multiple magnitudes of productivity difference. It was pretty crazy. It freed up a lot of my own time and busy work to think creatively or think about the needle movers in my business. Also, it made me less stressed. Not only could I just focus on things that really will move the needle, like the more important things, but I could kind of just relax and do things that I want to do in my life, not just work. Now, another example is budgeting. I used to do that by hand. My first time doing taxes, I literally did everything on an Excel sheet and it took me like 3 whole days. Now for my budgeting and for my taxes, I use pay tools that cost me around maybe $10 to $15 a month. And that saves a lot of time and stress so I could focus on other things and make, way more than $15. Mistake number 5 is I didn't network enough. I never really took networking seriously. I never really honed that skill, especially in college when it's literally the perfect environment for it. there's so many people. I was in a business frat, but I was never really good at that small talk. I was never really good at networking. And now that I'm older, out of college, out of that environment, I realize how important playing, the game actually is. The quote, "It doesn't matter what you know, it matters who you know," can't be true enough, because you could literally be in the right room talking to the right people for just 10 minutes. They can say maybe 1 or 2 sentences and it could change your whole life trajectory, or literally one text can change your entire business. Or if one person just says that one thing, bam, your mental shift, you hit a eureka moment and now your whole life has changed. Now there's this framework that I saw on a Diary CEO podcast that is really interesting to me that I want to share with you, and it's the Kevin Hart framework. Now Kevin Hart talks about this on the podcast, and it's the idea of collecting people. And he describes it as a skill, growing with people rather than just discarding these connections. Both Kevin Hart and Stephen Bartlett are masters of it.
And this idea I'm calling collecting people.
Even though I'm pretty introverted and my ideal day is just to watch a movie in my room by myself, I now try to force myself to go to more events, meet other successful people and put myself outside of that comfort zone and try to cultivate these relationships. Now, the next mistake cost me, a lot of money. This one, it was not fun at all. And it's mistake number 6 is I didn't take taxes seriously. The first time, again, as I said earlier, when I was doing taxes, I tried to do everything myself. My accounting myself, it took a couple days, super stressful, terrible time. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I didn't even do right. IRS, if you're watching this is a joke. Now that I'm a lot older, I'm making a lot more money, I'm investing into a really good CPA right away. And I just tell them, "Yo, just help me out. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just, keep the books clean, make sure I don't get audited, make sure everything good." Now that's my solution. Even this year, my account told me that I have to pay over $100,000 in taxes, which may sound like a lot, but that's because I really just made more money this year on my business. And I know nobody likes to spend, $100K on taxes, but it's a good problem to have. And maybe if I were to do it by myself, I would have only spent maybe $30,000 and then get audited and go to jail. Now, here's how the system actually works. What most people don't realize, the government literally wrote down everything that you can do to lower your taxes. And that's what I did. It would have been a lot more if I didn't, have a really good CPA or knew a little more about the tax laws. But the government literally wants you to write off and lower your taxes. They incentivize it. They wrote everything in the tax code. They kind of want you to do it. And that's because the government wants to incentivize business owners to make money go around and prop up the economy. Business owners actually have less tax liability than, regular W-2 employees. You kind of just need to learn how to play the game, or just hire a really good CPA. Now, this next mistake, I'm pretty sure everyone has done, but it's mistake number 7. I had no emergency fund and no high yield savings account. I honestly didn't know what a high yield savings account or emergency fund was until maybe a couple of years ago. And because I didn't have any emergency fund, and it made me feel like any risk that I could take meant total destruction, a cataclysmic event if I ever lost or failed and lost money. And this is honestly one of the reasons why I was afraid to take risks, because I didn't have any safety nets. And that's because when an emergency inevitably happened, I was forced to go into credit card debts. That happens to a lot of people. Sometimes, they're just going on their life and they break their thumb and bam, now they're negative $5,000 with hospital medical debts. And because they have no emergency fund, they have to use a credit card, they have to take a loan, and the cycle of debt kind of continues. And the problem with not having an emergency fund in a high yield savings account specifically is because if your money is just sitting in a regular bank account, you're actually technically losing money because your money's going down in value because of inflation. A traditional bank account of savings or checkings probably give you around 0.39% APY, while a high yield savings account will give you anywhere between 3% and 3.5% APY on your money. Now, inflation is around 2 to 3% a year on average. It went up as high as 9% during COVID. So if your money is not either invested or into high yield savings account, you're technically losing money. And so that's why I barely have any money in my checkings account. I have all my money, all my savings, my emergency fund, and my high yield savings account to make sure that I am not losing money due to inflation. And I made a whole entire video on this, why you shouldn't keep certain money in your bank account, and I'll link it in the description below. Now again, I wouldn't be the person who I am today if I didn't make these mistakes. So all of this is easy looking back in hindsight, but I hope you learned something from this video, and so you don't make the same mistakes that I did and you don't have to learn the hard way. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And if you want free actionable weekly tips on how to build your wealth in your 20s, I send those out every single week in my newsletter. It's called the New Money Newsletter, and link it down in the description below. Till next time.